Area C is the Holy Land with the lowest nuclear contamination. Your little sister is weak, so we can only take her with us. My biased parents couldn't see the smile curling at my sister's lips as they drove off in the family's only car. I couldn't hold it in anymore. I threw my head back and burst into laughter. The ring gave off a faint treasure light as it lay quietly in my palm. Mom, save me. 1 year after the nuclear incident, the radiation that was everywhere had killed many people, and my little sister's body couldn't hold out much longer. Your sister had a nosebleed yesterday. Let her have the radiation-free greens. You're the older brother. It's fine if you eat the irradiated vegetables. Mom stretched out her arm, snatched away the food that should have been mine, and then gently coaxed my sister into eating it. But she'd forgotten the last time I ate irradiated vegetables she put in my bowl. I didn't just get a nosebleed. I vomited, got splitting headaches, and nearly blacked out on the spot. Looking at Mom's pale face, I clenched my fist. I had wanted to endure it. But then, from the corner of my eye, I saw my little sister's lips curling upward. The fire rose all at once. Had I not already been good enough to this stepsister of mine? Which fight was it not me shielding her in? Which time had I ever refused when she asked me for money? Before the apocalypse, it was all good brother. Good brother. Once the apocalypse came, everything changed. Fuck this. Not eating. I slammed down my chopsticks, knocked over the stool, and stormed back to my room, locking the door behind me. My little sister thought I was crying. In a sweet, delicate voice, she said, "Mom, won't brother feel sad if you do this?" She smacked her lips happily while eating uncooked frozen vegetable leaves. After making sure my door was locked, I cut open my skin and fed the ring with my blood. Then took out a steaming plate of rice with toppings from the ring spirit's storage space. They could never guess that I had a ring like this, stuffed, full of food, malatang, barbecue, beer, the kind of stuff rich people in the apocalypse loved posting on social media to show off and pick up girls. I had stockpiled at least 500 gin of it. There were only 3 freezers of frozen vegetables and meat left, because I literally couldn't fit any more into the space. So I had to leave those out in the apartment. But my stepsister found out about those 3 freezers, and she egged my parents, who had already come to dislike me, into coming over. The moment my father saw the bright green vegetables inside the freezer, he couldn't move his feet. After all, even light pink irradiated greens outside cost 3,800 yuan a head, while green radiation-free vegetables cost at least 10,000 each and were still impossible to buy. They'd hit the jackpot. They moved right in on the spot, completely forgetting how coldly they'd kicked me out before. It was good son this and good son that only. After 1 whole year, the vegetables in the freezer were almost gone now. After I finished my potato and beef brisket rice bowl in huge bites, and the small cut stopped bleeding, I carefully wiped away every drop of soup, sucked all the scent back into the ring, and only then walked out of my room. The moment I opened the door, I saw my stepsister lying on top of my freezer, while my parents looked at me with wary eyes. After a long pause, my mother finally spoke. "When John, it looks like we're out of vegetables at home." My father hadn't eaten his fill in 3 days, and he refused to eat irradiated food. He was so hungry, his cheekbones jutted out. The way he looked at me was like he wanted to eat me. Right then, the radio came on. The neighborhood committee announced that everyone could come downstairs to buy vegetables. Low radiation vegetables were only distributed once a week, and each sale lasted just half an hour. Miss it, and there'd be nothing left to buy. The apartment itself was relatively safe, but the outside was full of radiation. If you stayed out there for less than half an hour, your 7 orifices would start bleeding, and you'd die. Every household had heavy radiation protection suits. Even so, over just the last 3 months, more than 10 people had died from going out to buy vegetables. Today was my stepsister's turn to go out, but she acted like she'd gone deaf, only coughing and hiding behind father. Father barely hesitated before ordering me in a hoarse voice, "What are you standing around for? Hurry up and go buy vegetables. Are you trying to starve us to death?" I slammed a fist against my crippled leg, hating that I couldn't beat father. All I could do was once again put on the heavy radiation suit, walk out the door, and let the radiation slowly erode my body. The neighbor's radiation suit already had a tear in it. She walked in front of me, counting her money. A pink cabbage cost me $3,800, and Hermes bag only traded for one bottle of expired kvass. I really don't know when this kind of life is ever going to end. The vegetable truck was already right in front of us, but the neighbor suddenly sprayed out a mouthful of blood, staining the wall red, and then collapsed heavily to the ground. Her radiation suit should have been replaced a long time ago, but who would sell one to her? My heart sank hard. She was a warm, kind girl back when I broke my leg and crawled up to the rooftop, sitting on the railing in despair for a long time. It was her who risked her life to drag me down. After I moved here, she was the only one who greeted me with a smile every day. She even changed my medicine for me a few times. Those soft, fair fingers never showed the slightest disgust for my rotting wounds or for me, as rotten as a person could be. Wen Xinyu, her name was as beautiful as she was, but that beautiful radiation suit, the only thing she had to save her life. The tear in it had been caused by a little boy she once saved while he was crossing the street. That little boy had only thought the terrified look on adults' faces was funny. The other neighbors stepped over her corpse numbly, took their big bags of light pink low-radiation vegetables, and staggered silently back upstairs. I kept my head down and stopped at the very end of the line, standing at the front door with the pink vegetables in hand. I heard the voices inside the house. Area C is now open for entry quota registration. Every household has one lottery qualification. Please register in time. You have won 3 slots. Please contact the neighborhood committee promptly for registration. My little sister let out a small cry of surprise. Dad, you're amazing. Area C is the safest zone with the lowest radiation of all. Now, the 3 of us can finally be safe. The 3 of us. I let out a cold laugh and pushed open the door. Her voice cut off abruptly, seeing that I only focused on disinfecting myself, taking off the radiation suit, and properly putting away the pink vegetables. She relaxed. Brother, you didn't hear what we were just saying, right? I looked at her expressionlessly, then dragged my weak body back into my room. The ring in my palm, fed by my blood and flesh, flickered with treasure light. Deep inside, I had a vague feeling it was about to level up. Rustle, late at night, with all the lights off, Father was rummaging through every single thing in my house. Vegetables, water. He directed Mother to pack up everything, even the toilet paper. Smack! I slapped on the lights, and both of them jumped in fright. Then Mother quickly hid the bag of vegetables behind her with those thin little arms and said haltingly, Wen, John, Area C is the holy land with the least nuclear contamination. Your little sister is weak, so we can only take her with us. You can understand your father and mother, right? Father, on the other hand, glared at me with bloodshot eyes, snatched the bag full of vegetables, and shoved Mother along as he headed out the door without looking back once. Father had never once gone outside to buy vegetables, and he was wearing the radiation suit, wrong in several places. Going out like that would make him sick. But why should I remind him? My little sister was the last one out. Her teeth showed too much when she grinned, and her raised lips were full of malice. Brother, let me tell you some good news. The radiation here is about to rise 10 times over and turn this place into a dead zone. Everybody is evacuating to areas A, B, C, D, and E. But the only radiation-proof car in the house has already been driven away by Dad. Where can you even go now? How does it feel getting abandoned all over again? I narrowed my eyes dangerously and said coldly, Little bitch, you've got vegetables in your teeth. But she felt no shame at all. Instead, she slowly licked around her gums and said with enjoyment, Are you jealous of me? Goodbye, my dear brother. She looked like she was in an excellent mood, but if she knew I had an entire storage space packed with food, would she still be this happy? I decided to let that question linger a little longer. Under the cover of night, they drove off in my car in a cloud of dust. Standing in the empty living room, I tilted my head and looked toward my neighbor's place. I couldn't return her soul to her homeland, but At least, I brought her home. The dolls were clean. The cosmetics were neatly arranged. They all stayed there with her. Once everything was settled, I silently took out the ring. It burst with treasure light, changing slowly from white to gold, and in the depths of my mind, I could feel it. It had leveled up. Not only could it now completely absorb the radiation in the air, it could also repair my body. I coughed up a mouthful of blood. A flush rose to my pale face, and after gasping violently for breath, I finally couldn't hold it in anymore and threw my head back in loud laughter. In just 3 short days, everyone in the building had evacuated one after another. The whole residential block was dead silent. I stood by the window on the 43rd floor, watching the departing convoy. In the darkness, it looked like a galaxy. Tomorrow, it would be the neighboring block's turn to evacuate, and soon that area of lights would disappear too. In moments, my little sister was posting every hour from Area C. 3 limited supply green vegetables, arranged beautifully like some refined rich girl setup. The caption said, "I wonder what brother is eating. I really hope I get to see brother in Area C." I raised an eyebrow, poured myself a glass of red wine from the space, and slowly took a sip. Then, I opened a no-face livestream under the ID, "Brother Bai takes you to eat good food." On the dining table, I set out a bubbling yin-yang hot pot, plates full of green vegetables, and even fresh meat that normal people could barely get anymore. A user named Radiation Medemastrong commented, "Am I dreaming? This is so extravagant. Fake, right? Some kind of food movie." I bounced my leg and casually dropped in a plate of fatty beef. Not a movie, just my dinner. A barrage comment went, "Holy shit!" and then disappeared. I didn't care and dropped vegetables into the clear broth. Fresh bok choy, tender chicken feather greens. The last time netizens had seen them was probably in some ultra-rich heir's birthday livestream. On Weibo, lots of people entered the livestream room, froze, sent a bunch of question marks, and left again. Then, Radiation Medemastrong came charging back into the room, bringing tons of people with them. A programmer. I ran AI comparisons. It's not an old movie. And Therese, no sign of editing. This humble one has a little family wealth. Great Lord, please show mercy and toss me 2 slices of meat. This is top-grade meat with actual blood still in it. This humble girl has a willow-like figure and only over 10 million followers. Great Lord, do I suit your taste? In an instant, the live stream's traffic exploded. Countless people rushed in to verify whether it was fake. The popularity kept shooting higher, and within a few minutes, it was on the homepage. Then, one comment floated by, asking, "Why's the boss live streaming? Are you short a dog? I can eat leftovers." I couldn't help laughing so hard, I nearly sprayed rice out of my mouth. No, I just opened it, casually. My good little sister has me in her heart. She wants to know what I'm having for dinner. Then I glanced at moments again and turned off the stream. Sure enough, not even a minute later, my little sister sent me a message. "Brother, did you know there was a super popular live stream just now?" Before I could reply, she immediately unsent it and replaced it with a screenshot of my stream. "Thanks to the radiation-free car brother contributed. Dad drove me to Area C and introduced me to a Toppleville tycoon. The handsome guy even treated me to vegetable hot pot. You're not as lucky as me. Brother, do you still have enough pink vegetables to eat? If not, you can always go dig up irradiated roots and tree bark outside." I was a little surprised and curled my lips into a smile. I sent back a single word: "Get lost." Apparently, my response reassured her. She started getting even more excessive, showing off her life in Area C nonstop. But because of that, I actually learned quite a lot about Area C, including one person in particular, Jiang Bai, captain of Unit 0 of Area C's guard force. Father really had gotten into trouble, but my little sister had been saved by a passing Captain Huo in men's clothing and had immediately fallen hard for him. My little sister stayed by my unconscious father's side, putting on the full act of a deeply filial daughter. Time and time again, she ran off to thank Captain Hua, hinting over and over that she was willing to offer herself in return. But Captain Hua seemed completely uninterested, which made sense. Even Miss Lingluo, the precious daughter of Area C's chief, was deeply in love with Captain Hua, but ID studied face reading. This so-called Captain Hua in the photos was clearly a woman, looking at the brows and eyes. I remembered someone, the school beauty Hua Yushuan from an elite high school, whom ID met only once, but none of that had anything to do with me. Over the next several days, the surrounding blocks went dark, one after another, as people all evacuated the city, whose radiation was about to surge tenfold. Even the elderly drove electric wheelchairs through the empty streets, under the silent, pitch-black sky, above the dead city. The stars were glittering. For the first time, I saw the moon, but I had no mood to appreciate it. It hurts. It itches. I screamed as I rolled around. The numb, maddening itch of my crippled leg being slowly repaired was unbearable, but I had even less desire to stay disabled forever. I pushed the ring with all my strength to repair my body. Blood dripped from my lips and palms until, bathed in moonlight, I finally passed out. But the ring started absorbing moonlight at 1,000 times the speed, its glow surging brighter and brighter in the total silence. No one knew that 1 year after the nuclear incident, the next mutation had already begun. A slender vine covered the white walls of a low building in a single night, and the roots probing around in all directions looked like octopus tentacles. A gigantic tree, lush with branches and leaves, opened a pair of deep eyes in the darkness. The next day, the thing that shot to the top of the trending list was, in first place, the dead city that was about to become an uninhabited zone. And, in second place, without question, was my food stream, a casual stream worthin sov million sin hot pot. Become Brother Bay's dog for leftovers. Of course, where there were people licking boots, there were people hating too. Fuck! Some loser desperate to go famous. You actually dare brag like this? Yeah, don't end up like that idiot last month. He ate fake plastic vegetables just for attention and literally killed himself. I opened the stream for the second time, this time at noon. Same deal. Still, a face-hidden mukbang. Cauliflower, stir-fried with sliced pork, garlic, vermicelli, shrimp, sour spicy, fatty, beef, and a bowl of crystal white rice. The bullet comments went slurp, slurp for 5 straight minutes. Then they realized I still hadn't gone offline, and the chewing sounds hit their eardrums like ASMR. They went insane on the spot. The blueberry-flavored compressed biscuits I bought at a premium instantly lost all appeal. Sob, sob, sob. Rich person upstairs. Eating 30-day expired, cheap, artificial meat, and tears are flowing from the corner of my mouth. Among all the gluttony comments, I saw one that stood out. Big brother is eating well again today. That's so nice. I wasn't the only one who noticed it. The old viewers immediately started speculating all at once. Could you be the rich streamer brother's little sister? Damn! A new thigh has appeared. How can we still stand still? Little sister, look at me. Handsome face, strong body, eats very little. I clicked in to look, and what a coincidence. It really was my good little sister. Wen Susu. Under my intentional silent consent, everyone came to believe that Wen Susu was the new young rich lady, and 5 out of every 10 comments were praising her. Very soon, she was being praised so much that she lost herself entirely. She stopped even pretending to deny it. When some viewers dug up that Wen Susu's location was in Area C, the universally known safest zone, with the lightest nuclear contamination, even more people became convinced she was rich. After that day, the expensive vegetables my little sister showed off in moments increased more and more. She even became friends with Miss Lingluo, the top socialite of Area C. But in stark contrast to that, the gold jewelry on Mom's body disappeared piece by piece. I acted like I didn't notice and quietly finished eating before ending the stream. Even living alone, I still kept my habit of wiping away all traces of soup and activating the ring to absorb all lingering scent. After limping around and taking care of everything, I took off the ring and held it up uncertainly in the sunlight. It looked like it had grown some patterns. Relying on the ring's ability to repair my body, I cut a huge gash in my arm and let it drink a lot of blood. Only when my vision was swimming did I finally take hemostatic medicine out of the space, apply it to the wound, and look at the ring again and again. Sure enough, the pattern was a full centimeter longer than before. I put the ring back on and looked out the window. The sun was blazing, but there wasn't a single shadow of a person or a single human voice. The city had become a complete dead zone. The future nuclear apocalypse would only grow more mysterious and unpredictable. Was extremely high radiation the end of the world, or merely the beginning? No one knew, but I did know one thing. This treasure ring was my greatest support right now. Thinking that, I took a bunch of blood-replenishing pills from the space and swallowed them. Then, hardening my heart, I cut deeply into my palm. The blood that burst out splashed into the air, then curved in a strange arc and was all absorbed by the ring without leaving behind a single drop. I narrowed my eyes and deliberately flung blood farther away, just before it hit the ground. Each bead of blood suddenly shot back at tenfold, hundredfold speed and sank into the metallic ring. The flesh of my palm was torn into a mess. At first, the pain was unbearable. Then, gradually numbness took over. Finally, before I blacked out, I stopped the bleeding, clenched the ring, and let it repair my body. Bathed in the ring's treasure light, I lay down on the bed in peace, never noticing that a faint trace of blood scent slipped out through the window crack, got caught by a slender vine, and was eaten. Then, the vine swelled by 3 meters in an instant, wrapping around the stone lion on the roadside, more and more tightly. Bang! The stone lion was crushed apart. Gravel sprayed everywhere and scattered across the ground. A long time later, I woke up from hunger. My stomach roared like thunder. Since the nuclear incident, I had never felt this hungry before. A layer of foul-smelling black sludge coated my skin. I hurried into the bathroom. While eating, I casually opened Moments and saw that my stepsister, relying on her status as Brother Bai's little sister, was now thriving in Area C. That entire afternoon, she'd been showing off all kinds of vegetables gifted to her by her simps and socialite friends. Among them, Miss Lingluo had gone all out and given her a large amount of bright green vegetables. Miss Lingluo had even declared that she'd always had a poor appetite since childhood. But after watching Brother Bai Takes You to Eat Good Food, eat so deliciously on stream, she found herself able to eat 3 spoonfuls of rice every time. She wanted to be the streamer's meal companion for life. So, this refined little heiress was actually a foodie. I was just enjoying the show when, ding, my stepsister posted a new moment. I clicked in and found it wasn't showing off for once. Instead, it was a picture of Jiang Bai asleep in a hospital bed after being injured. Well, so this cold female war god, the legendary ceiling of single-target combat power, could get hurt too. I checked Weibo, only to find the trending topics were all full of news about Unit 0 of the Guard Force being attacked, but the reason for the attack was being kept secret. The entire internet was full of speculation. Some guessed it was a rebellion by wandering survivors. Some guessed the leader had made enemies. Among all the gossip comments, I saw a message saying that plants around their home had grown strangely huge, and many corpses that had been killed by radiation earlier had disappeared. Below it were a bunch of, when you think about it, it's terrifying, but not many people truly believed it. My heart skipped. I leaned out to look. It wasn't an illusion. The trees really were much taller than I remembered. Just as I was uncertain, I heard a rustling sound mixed with wet squishing, like something slowly rubbing together, or something even more terrible, boiling up from inside a pool of rotten mud. I immediately shut all the windows tight and started neurotically checking every part of the apartment, including the bathroom drains. Then, under my horrified gaze, a slender vine slowly crawled across the center of the window right in front of me. Fine spiderweb cracks exploded from the center and spread in all directions. I spun around and ran. In less than a second, this cripple of mine actually burst out the door. Every muscle in my body was applying force at exactly the right angle, and I couldn't feel even the slightest weakness or stiffness. I nimbly spun around and locked the wooden door, but the vine was faster. It punched straight through the window and slammed hard into the door. The heavy thudding came one after another, like dull drum beats. That cheap second-hand wooden door ID bought from the used goods market was quickly smashed open, and the vine shot through the hole and pierced right through my shoulder, pinning me to the wall like a chunk of rotten meat. Before I could dodge, was I going to die? Then, something bizarre happened. The blood surging from my shoulder all flew toward the ring. The vine tried to bend back and stop it, but it was useless. The ring devoured my blood cleanly. The vine grew furious and split off 2 more branches, one piercing my lower abdomen, and the other my thigh. I screamed, the blood pouring out in huge amounts. Hung suspended in the air. 2 forces tore at it for several seconds before it all shot toward the ring in one unstoppable stream. The ring even let out something like a full little burp. Meanwhile, under the double effect of me rapidly losing blood and the ring simultaneously repairing my body, half my face turned flushed and the other half pale. I felt awful. Suddenly, the ring's light flared brilliantly. Not only did it melt all the vines attacking me, it also bathed me in warm, melting light. It felt wonderfully warm and comfortable. It had leveled up again when everything calmed down. I was shocked to discover my whole body brimming with power. Now, the ring not only absorbed all radiation around me, it could also convert that radiation into energy, use it to repair my body, and attack every target that threatened me. Oh, right. It could also eat mutated plants, like slender vines. And it seemed to become stronger the more it ate. My hand moved downward and touched 8-pack abs, not just the blood and flesh torn open by the vine earlier. There wasn't even a scar left behind. My leg was fully healed, too. One kick even made a sharp tearing sound in the air. Damn! The legendary Brother Bai from number 3, high school, the one with countless lackeys, was back. Feeling the restored strength in my body, a thought crossed my mind, and I walked into my neighbor's apartment. The place was completely silent and had gathered another layer of dust. Looking at her, lying there on the bed, with that pale, white, sleeping face, I felt a trace of faint sorrow. I gently pressed the ring against her. The ring played dead. I frowned, cut myself again, and fed it some blood. Only then did the ring reluctantly cover the neighbor girl in treasure light. Sure enough, I had guessed right. The corpse spots on her face gradually started fading, but after restoring only a small patch of smooth skin, the ring refused to continue no matter what. With no other choice, I had to go back home. After all the fussing that night, I went live during dinner, as usual, and there were noticeably more bullet comments talking about plants attacking people. Damn it all! My calf almost got sawn off by mutated grass. I spent 10 hours waiting in line at the hospital just to get it bandaged. I almost bled dry. Don't even mention it. My wound got infected. Do you know how expensive anti-inflammatory meds are now? 50,000 a pill. 3 whole months of my crops gone for nothing. Sigh. Brother Bayes, godly life of non-stop gourmet food is something ill never have. Leaving. Time to go haul bricks. I placed the tomato shrimp paste vermicelli casserole still bubbling in front of me. Checked to make sure the emergency medicine stockpile in my ring space was full. And while stirring my rice, I read through the comments to learn about the outside world. I even bookmarked several forums researching mutated plants. After ending the stream, I let out a satisfied sigh and lay on the bed, scrolling on my phone for a while. An official notice confirmed that Jiang Bai had already woken up and was about to go out on a mission despite her injuries. In the publicity photo, her cool, refined face was full of fatigue and determination, and in her palm was a bright, delicate rose that symbolized her protection and glory. The comments section was flooded with fangirls, sobbing their hearts out over her. What a beast! I muttered a word of admiration for that apocalyptic work model, and was just about to swipe away when my gaze froze. She was going to Guanghai City to recover the data recorded by the measuring instruments installed by the Research Institute from C-City at Longming Residential Complex. Wasn't that the complex right next to mine, to be honest? I never expected that the obedient school beauty from back then and the female war god of today would turn out to be the same person. That face had once been frightened into tears by me, then smiled at me, then later flushed red from a helpless princess Carrie, a good student, and a beautiful one too. Girls like that are always easy targets. Maybe it was because of those clear, bright eyes. I'm not usually the kind of person who meddles in other people's business, but that day, as if possessed, I walked into that alley, took countless club blows, and saved her. The one and only time I ever got to be the hero, saving the beauty, and I didn't even leave contact information behind. What a loss. After going through all those photos of Jiang Bai in my stepsister's moments, I switched back to my chat history with my stepsister, looking at those long strings of contemptuous, filthy insults and those vicious curses, wishing radiation would turn me into a monster. I raised an eyebrow and switched to my live account with millions of followers. Brother Bai takes you to eat good food, and sent a message to her alt account. Having a good brother is so happy. Little sister, having fun. She reacted like a rabbit scared out of its skin, apologizing over and over to Brother Bai takes you to eat good food, lowering herself, acting cute, and begging. When I switched back to WeChat, sure enough, our chat window was full of typing notifications until today. Shed thought. Her older brother was dead, either starved to death or tortured to death by radiation. The little apology essay filled with all of my stepsister's intelligence, along with all her uncertain probing, gave me tremendous pleasure. I didn't reply to a single thing. I deliberately turned off my phone and slept peacefully. By the time I started my next live stream, the following day, my Brother Bai takes you to eat good food inbox already had 99 plus messages from my stepsister. That little bitch hadn't gotten a wink of sleep all night. Drinking iced cola that was still hissing white mist. I slowly answered questions from the bullet comments. Does the streamer not live with his little sister? We used to live together. Once we grew up, we each went our own way. I held a cigarette in my mouth and replied word by word. This was the first time I openly addressed the topic of my sister, and with just one sentence. When Susis account gained 80,000 followers, her account, which had stayed silent for 15 hours, suddenly became active again. She answered all kinds of questions about her interactions with brother, some true and some false, all dressed up to look convincing. I never refuted a thing, and that only made people believe in her even more. On WeChat, my little sister stopped probing me. The same dining table setup, the same taste in food, the familiar voice. Maybe Shed already guessed the truth too. She just didn't dare think too deeply about it. My livestream room was pinned high on the homepage, and countless new viewers were flooding in. Suddenly, Jiang Bai's gold verified account entered the stream. 1 second later, she exited again. The bullet comments exploded, instantly turning it into a running joke. Captain Who's here to claim kinship too. Brother Bai's way beyond the likes of us now. Captain Who's injured and still watching Brother Bai's stream. That's some true perseverance. Maybe she'll skip 30 years of detours in life. Oh my God! The streamer's voice is so sexy, and his hands are so nice looking, but he won't show his face. Captain Hua is super beautiful, but she never talks. 2 rich young masters in one place. I love it, but I knew she wasn't here for the food. A new private message appeared in the account inbox. Hello, I'm Jiang Bai. I saw that you're in Guanghai City. Could you tell me a bit about what the situation is like there? Now, I know a few things about tech. My live account didn't have any location turned on, so she shouldn't have known where I was. My heart tightened. The spire outside the window belongs to a property I own in Guanghai City. Even though only a small part of it was visible, I grew up living there, so I recognized it. I looked out the window, the famous ultra-high-rise luxury building. Even though this place was already a dead zone, it was still flashing expensive neon lights. I raised an eyebrow and had no choice but to admit it. I really was in the dead city, Guanghai City. Therese, no need to worry. The authorities are already aware that human espers now exist, and they won't question your reasons for staying in Guanghai City. We only hope you can provide some information within your means. I will reward you generously if Therese Anything you want, you can ask. I'll do my best to satisfy it. All right. As expected of a captain, once Shed put it that far and added generous payment, there was no harm in helping with something simple. That said, I couldn't resist messing with her a little first. Do you have a signed photo from Captain Hua? Jiang Bai responded with 6 dots. Joking aside, my proper reply was very cautious. My description of Guanghai City was objective, but vague. I didn't reveal that I was very close to Longing Complex, and the information I gave was highly fragmented. I definitely didn't want to run into the absolute combat ceiling. In the one chance out of 10,000 that she didn't remember the old days, if she discovered how miraculous my ring was and got greedy enough to seize it, I'd be stepping into real danger. Behind her stood the entire official government. After the transaction was completed, nuclear radiation in Guanghai City kept climbing. All the traffic cameras across the city were destroyed. Electronic devices almost all failed except the radio, and my phone became nothing but a brick. No internet. No live streams. The computer at home had already been taken by my sister to Area C. I'd watched every novel and every movie stored in the ring space so many times over the past year that I was sick of all of them. Living alone had become so boring. I was practically growing mold. And yet, among the thank you gifts Jiang Bai left at People's Park, there was actually a fully charged laptop and several portable hard drives packed full of offline games and television shows. It couldn't have fit my heart any better. From then on, the 3 hours each day I spent cutting myself and feeding the ring were all passed with that laptop. That day, Guanghai City's radiation level abruptly rose from 50 to 637. A huge swath of plants outside withered to death, and as far as the eye could see, there were only gray-yellow branches and leaves. One plane tree was half yellow and half green. I tried flicking a drop of blood onto it, and the blood disappeared the instant it touched the leaf. The tree immediately rooted itself and sprouted new leaves, quickly spreading across that whole patch of greenery. From the 43rd floor, I looked down. A single patch of green in a sea of yellow, green enough to be terrifying. The hospital has stopped receiving the wounded. Please make good use of the self-rescue guide. Pingan City has been breached. Residents are to flee on their own to nearby shelters. Over the radio, mutated plants in every safety zone had started rioting. The safe zones quickly decided on armed suppression, but it was already too late. Civilians were dying in huge numbers. Outside the 5 major zones, many of the smaller gathering points had already been wiped out completely. The living were fewer than 1 in 10, and all flesh had become nutrients for the mutated plants. The ring was acting abnormally, too. I could vaguely feel that absorbing radiation, blood, and moonlight no longer satisfied it. Its desire to slaughter mutated plants was steadily growing stronger. This ring of mine wanted to eat every single mutated plant in Guanghai City. It needed power. Of course, absorbing mutated plants was a necessary step in leveling up the ring. This was entirely for increasing my own strength, not because I wanted to help Jiang Bai clear away her obstacles or anything. The streets were empty. I casually picked a luxury car with the key still in it and began my 0 yuan shopping spree. Mutated grass, mutated slender vines, mutated shrubs, mutated giant trees. I absorbed them bit by bit. An endless stream of power flowed into the ring, and my knuckles grew hotter and hotter. Only when my whole body was filled with so much strength, it felt like it was about to spill over. And my urge to destroy had grown overwhelming. Did I casually wave a hand and flatten an entire small street park? Absolute force rolled over everything, and all turned to dust, stuffed full of radiation energy. The ring finally stopped being stingy and agreed to help me treat my neighbor girl. I'd seen what she looked like just after death, with her blood still coagulating slowly. I'd wiped away the pus that seeped out after the flesh at the side of her neck rotted open. Under the ring's treasure light, all of that gradually vanished, and her originally smooth, fair skin reappeared now, except for the fact that her pulse still didn't beat. She was almost like a living person. That night I dreamed of when we first met on the rooftop. I hadn't tried to kill myself, and she was smiling at me. Even her hair had become gentle. After that, I went on a mad sweep through the city. Only when the ring was so full that it couldn't stop burping did I finally stop and look north. There stood The forest park, what used to be a barbecue paradise, had become dark and terrifying. Back when the nuclear shockwave hit, many tourists had nowhere to run and collapsed beside their cars in all directions. Their flesh had vanished without a trace, leaving only blood-soaked soil behind. Even on a blazing, sunny day, the thick canopy overhead let not a single beam of sunlight through. At ground level, the wind was cold and damp, carrying a smell of blood and rot. The last few days, I hadn't dared get close. ID only looked at it from a distance, but times had changed. That giant thing which dominated all of Sea City now actually turned and ran the moment it saw me driving over. It was every bit as fast as my temporary ride, a Cadillac. Brothers, an entire forest was running away on legs made of roots. The ring was stunned, but it had no intention of letting an all-you-can-eat buffet grow legs and run off. In a panic, it opened a transparent giant bloody mouth and lunged after the dust-kicking forest. It ran. It chased. It couldn't escape even if it grew wings. The small and exquisite ring ate itself into a fat cat, then lazily floated back into my hand. Its halo kept shifting colors, urging me to hurry home and lie back down on the bed. Leveling up again. Probably better not let anyone interrupt. According to Jiang Bai, she was arriving in Guanghai City tomorrow afternoon. I made up my mind that until she left, I wouldn't take a single step outside this complex. 2 seconds after making up that decision, I passed out on my bed. When I woke up again, a woman's suppressed cry of pain echoed in my ears. I was so startled that I leaped upright, only to find no one beside me at all. Then came the grating sounds of mutated plants rubbing together, the footsteps of countless insects running through the grass, and a flood of sounds and information all slammed into my mind at once. I let out a pained scream, grabbed my head, and curled up on the bed for a long while before I finally learned how to control my super hearing and shut out all that noise. Looks like this latest ring upgrade had upgraded me too. In a rush of excitement, I jumped to my feet. As a result, my head went straight through the ceiling, and half my body got stuck on the floor above, making me look exactly like one of those 10-yuan ghost stories. After falling back down, I grabbed a cup, planning to drink some water to calm my nerves. But the glass handle bent like putty and snapped off the moment I squeezed it. I went silent. There happened to be a knife on the table. I picked it up and stabbed hard into my palm. The knife snapped. The lines in my palm were perfectly clear. There wasn't even a scratch. After pinching more than 10 grotesque steel toys into existence, I finally realized that this upgrade had forced a huge amount of filthy, foul-smelling impurities out of my body. The stench rushing up my nostrils nearly made me vomit. I hurried into the bathroom, and the grime I scrubbed off almost clogged the drain. Wrapped in a bath towel, I walked over to the window, and once again, a woman's heavy breath sounded beside my ear. Now that the radiation in Guanghai City had risen tenfold, the mutated plants outside were growing at a terrifying speed. In the 3 days I'd been unconscious, countless deadly mutated plants had already appeared again in the city I had just cleared. Jiang Bai had to fight many brutal battles every single day. She seemed to have a blade of incredible hardness. In 1 second, it blocked attack after attack, and the sound of the blade slicing the wind was dull and clean. But the mutated plants had too many branches. Pushing forward wasn't a good choice for her. Sure enough, 2 branches pierced through her body. She suppressed her cry of pain so low it was almost non-existent. The memory of being pierced through by a vine myself suddenly hit me. That pain was unbearable. I started to admire her ability to endure pain. No, wait. She hadn't failed to block the attacks in time. She had deliberately sold a weakness, taking the injury in exchange for plunging her blade into the mutated plant's core. Listening to it all, my scalp tingled, but Jiang Bai's breathing rhythm didn't change at all. After pulling out her blade, she simply sat down and recovered her strength. I'd finally seen it firsthand. The female war god truly deserved her name. After the shock passed, I immediately opened the laptop, found the combat tutorial hard drive I'd only glanced at before, and started using my newly upgraded body to learn combat techniques and skills. After this latest upgrade, I'd begun having a premonition. One day, the ring would leave me. This ring had cost me just 20 yuan at a roadside stall. After my blood activated it and unlocked its storage space, ID always anticipated the day it would truly acknowledge me as its owner. But the more blood I fed it, the stronger it became, and now it no longer felt any temptation toward my blood at all. It had never acknowledged me as master. So, sooner or later, I'd lose control of it. If I kept indulging in the ring's power now, this false strength would one day turn around and devour me. Rely on a mountain, and the mountain falls. Rely on water, and the water flows away. No one is as dependable as yourself. What's more, in my current enhanced state, one punch of mine could snap steel rebar. If I trained properly, given enough time, I might not fail to become a top-tier combatant myself. Burning with determination, I opened a body training video. Let's start with 500 push-ups. 10 minutes later, I stopped, not because of anything else. The problem was just that this shitty wooden floor had been destroyed by my push-ups. Both my palms had sunk right through into splintered wood. Damn! Aside from training, I also started using my supervision to watch Jiang Bai fight. Her long legs were powerful, her movements neat and decisive, her blade-carved arcs like the arrival of death itself. Watching her was like receiving live teaching. And my progress became explosive. A few times, Jiang Bai's cool eyes swept in my direction, and my heart would tighten. Scared I'd been exposed. But Shed always stopped looking immediately and focused back on the fight, leaving me with nothing but a false alarm. At night, I lay on the bed. The intense training had exhausted me enough that I fell asleep quickly. Then, suddenly, a woman's short, muffled groan woke me up. I jerked my eyes open, only to realize it was Jiang Bai cleaning a newly opened wound. In the silent middle of the night, the soft water sounds at her throat were unnervingly clear. I froze for a long while, then pulled the blanket over my head, brow furrowed. That girl, was she trying to make things difficult for me? During the long nights, I would sometimes get woken up 3 or 4 times, not just by the sounds of her changing dressings, but also by the soft little moans she made in her sleep, sounds she herself didn't even know she was making. In only 4 days, I ended up with dark circles under my eyes and a glorious new case of sleep deprivation. I was basically on the verge of becoming neurotic. In my heart, I prayed, please, just hurry up and finish your mission and leave. Girl, begging you. Of course, fate didn't care what I wanted. Just as Jiang Bai was reporting to headquarters that she would be withdrawing soon, that giant tree from 3,000 li away had already moved into Sea City. When I woke up that morning, still with my eyes closed, I became aware of something. A presence was watching me. After Jiang Bai left the research institute, that whole patch of land seemed to lose its life force entirely and wither away. Whatever Shed taken, it absolutely wasn't just a few rows of data. The ring of mutated plants around that site was deeply affected. Their life force was cut off in an instant. The plants beyond them all felt the threat to their own survival and began rioting, crazily attacking Jiang Bai. Jiang Bai moved at astonishing speed, but her body was already badly injured in several places, and there was no way she could keep going for much longer. She paused for a moment, facing east, then finally chose to flee south. East of her, there was only one living person, me. She wanted to ask me for help, but she was afraid of dragging me down. So, in the end, she left me behind. Smart girl. Shed made the right choice. I turned around coldly and didn't look at the back of her escaping figure. Instead, I faced the gaze of that presence. My own trouble was far bigger than hers. And yet, I heard the giant tree's voice rolling in, crushing down against my soul. So, I've finally met you. Every muscle in my body tensed. My days of training had sharpened my focus to the highest degree. Amid the roar of blood inside my own ears, I heard the tree say, "My honored master." A question mark slowly rose inside my mind, but very soon, the ring floated up and answered with a soft glow. "You've come, little tree. Infinite spirit ring." At last, I learned its name. So, that was it. It had come from the 3,000 worlds, fallen through the space rift, torn open by the nuclear incident 1 year ago, smashed into a roadside stall, and then been bought by me. But I was just a mortal, with no spirit root, incapable of truly becoming its master. The giant tree was a servant empowered by the infinite spirit ring. Its mission was to tear open the sky and rip apart space so that the infinite spirit ring could return to the 3,000 worlds. That process would take around 3 years. I stood there, off to the side, feeling strangely melancholy. Don't miss me too much. Okay, little spirit would hate to see brother sad. Suddenly, past, a lively and adorable girl's voice rang out in the air. I looked around everywhere before finally lowering my head. The ring was vibrating slightly. Little spirit. I looked at the ring in disbelief. Brother. The ring spun rapidly, finally forming itself into the shape of a heart. Little spirit likes brother. I had absolutely no mental preparation for that. It completely stunned me. Thinking back over the year we'd spent relying on one another, I was just about to feel a bit embarrassed when I heard, brother's body is amazing, but the apocalypse is only going to get more dangerous. How can I feel safe leaving like that? Activating training ground mode. What? I didn't even have time to react before the infinite spirit ring turned into a cold and heartless iron-blooded drill instructor, dragged me into a training ground space, and started controlling all kinds of mutated birds and beasts to attack me. Without the ring's auto-attack cheat, I was unbelievably clumsy and miserable dealing with them. And at a time like that, the infinite spirit ring even projected a real-time combat feed of Jiang Bai. Brother, if you get tired of fighting, you can watch this, pretty sister, to recover your strength. I almost ate dirt. I hurriedly clarified that I had absolutely nothing to do with her. The infinite spirit ring tilted itself and went right for the kill. But when brother looks at her, the corners of your mouth go up by 0.01 degrees. Little spirit might get jealous, but I won't get in brother's way. I carved a death arc with my dagger and drove it hard into the heart of a mutated hunting dog, trying to defend my honor. That's admiration. The infinite spirit ring muttered to itself. Admiration, unrequited love. Looks like before I leave, I need to kidnap sister over here. I got so scared, my foot slipped. Using the momentum, I dodged the falling attack and drove my blade into the vital point of a mutated wild boar. Don't! I seriously don't have that kind of interest in her. The infinite spirit ring casually instructed my movements and raised the training ground difficulty by 2 levels. Okay. Then, should I still play her battle footage? Yeah, leave it on. Looking a little isn't the end of the world. I rubbed the tip of my nose awkwardly as I watched Jiang Bai's clean, textbook perfect technique. As Huo Captain fought desperately for survival, she kept feeling like she was being watched. After breaking through another encirclement, she couldn't help glancing east several times. There were traces that someone had already cleared away some of the mutated plants here. Could that have been that? Brother Baya. What terrifying strength. Only, why did that? Brother Ba's voice sounds so much like the only man who had ever carried her in his arms in the past. Don't be naive. Jiang Bai, out of all the women head saved, you were only one insignificant one. Besides, you've finally become someone like him now too. Someone who protects many people, haven't you? Isn't that enough? No matter how many thoughts flashed through Jiang Bai's mind, her dagger never slowed for even 1 second, neatly harvesting every mutated plant she came across. In the training ground, the time ratio to the real world was 1 year to 1 second. After 5 years in there, when I came back out and saw sunlight again, it felt like a lifetime had passed. The infinite spirit ring spun around me over and over, marveling at the murderous aura on me now, saying I seemed like one of the top warriors it had ever seen. Now that my strength had risen enormously, I found myself itching for action. I often hid my presence and followed Jiang Bai, watching her take one injury after another and never retreat. Every so often, I'd kill off a mutated plant that posed too much of a threat to her. One time, while she was asleep, I used a dagger to nail several harank mutated snakes through the head, one of them less than a meter away from her. But, strangely enough, one dagger went missing and couldn't be recovered even after asking the infinite spirit ring. All I got was its innocent head tilt and a don't know. So I had no choice but to reluctantly give up. Sigh. Weapons were precious. After seeing Jiang Bai off. I often wandered through neighboring provinces and cities. Thanks to the infinite spirit rings training, I could now travel 1,000 li in a day. I could watch the sunrise atop Taihang Mountain, tease apes in Shenangjia, ride the wind through the void, and come and go freely. As for sleeping beauty, Wen Xinyu, ever since she developed that faint breath, she still refused to wake up, no matter how much the infinite spirit ring nourished her. I didn't rush. I kept pouring huge amounts of energy into her body, like it cost me nothing at all. Under that nourishment, her skin had become so smooth, it looked like it would break at a touch. Her cheeks had visibly turned rosy again. Her hair had regained its dark, glossy softness and spread smoothly over her shoulders. The infinite spirit ring was heartbroken over it, puffing out its little lips in total reluctance. But after it heard about the kind of person Wen Xinyu had been, the infinite spirit ring actually cried once. Then, obediently did as I said. In the dead of night, it would even secretly run over to the neighbor's apartment and feed Wen Xinyu more energy, as if I didn't know. A few months after Jiang Bai returned to Area C, weapons designed specifically to kill mutated plants were finally developed with great fanfare over the radio. One piece of good news after another spread against radiation levels dozens of times higher than before. The network signal was somehow slowly recovering too. When I reopened my food livestream room, I found that many old fans' accounts had turned into that gray color symbolizing death. They would never appear again. Right when everything was basically turning for the better, something completely unexpected happened. One day, Wen Xinya's body suddenly started fading right in front of me. Then she disappeared before my eyes. That day, the infinite spirit ring stayed silent for a long time. Then it started running all over the world, as though looking for something. I felt a little worried, but after the infinite spirit ring assured me that Wen Xinyu wouldn't be in danger of losing her life, my worry turned into a faint sense of regret. It felt like there were things I hadn't had the chance to say yet, and now I'd never get the chance to say them. Once the internet recovered, my life grew lively all over again. The scattered survivors in the bullet comments were all full of the size of people who had survived disaster. They exchanged news of how life was going. Apparently, the agricultural institutes had developed new anti-radiation crops, and the era of starving to death while trying not to die was going to end soon. Amid all that peace and harmony, one bullet comment suddenly shot across the screen. Go check Guard Captain Jiang Bai's Weibo. Out of curiosity, I clicked in, and there, for the first time, official Weibo had posted Jiang Bai with her long hair loose, revealing that beautiful face. She tagged, "Brother Bai takes you to eat good food," and attached a single rose. The comment section was nothing but, "Holy shit! Holy shit! Holy shit!" The authorities quickly posted a statement saying that Jiang Bai, captain of Guard Unit 0, had declared that her lifelong honors and all her assets would be shared with the anonymous streamer. Brother Bai takes you to eat good food in gratitude for saving her life. In the private message inbox, the officials promised me that my anonymity would remain absolutely secure and no one would be allowed to pry into it. They also informed me that there were covert official channels in every safe zone through which I could obtain the assets registered in Jiang Bai's name. War God Captain Huo was actually a woman. The godly rich Brother Bai had actually saved Captain Hua. What hidden depth! The precious daughter of the top-tier Hua family was actually handing over her entire fortune. Brother Bai, was she planning to offer herself too? In just a few breaths, my livestream room got flooded and nearly exploded under the frenzy of the netizens. I slammed the livestream shut and slowly turned my gaze toward the infinite spirit ring, murder intent spilling out. The infinite spirit ring had already absorbed a huge amount of radiation energy and could now manifest in human form, which was very convenient for spanking. Woo, I admitted. That dagger really was left on purpose for Jiang Bai to find. Brother, stop hitting me. My butt's going to bloom. Brother saved her. So isn't it only natural for her to offer herself in return? Woo. Little spirit's butt is really going to split open. At that moment, a private message from Jiang Bai arrived in the back end. I sighed and clicked on the avatar of this cool female war god. Entering the chat page. The first thing I saw was a photo of Jiang Bai in combat gear, fully armed. Her pretty little face, serious and focused. A question mark slowly formed in my head. Jiang Bai typed out 3 big words. Signed, photo. I remembered my earlier joke and was briefly at a total loss for words. A moment later, she added, "I hope you like it." Looking at that stern little face of hers, obediently posing for a photo, I found myself unable to say anything except a dry, "Not bad." That girl, just how exactly had a personality like hers developed? Naturally, I still quietly saved the picture, but Jiang Bai's pretty face and Rose weren't the only thing causing a stir. There was someone else, too, from my WeChat list. My little sister, who had gone silent for a long time, suddenly sent a message. "Good, brother. I know I was wrong. Would you be willing to forgive me?" This one, I know. I was attached to the root system. The giant tree extended into Sea City. I saw everything. "Brother, she wants to use you." The infinite spirit ring hugged my arm and shook it. That shameless woman. The moment she saw the Weibo post, she ran to Ho's sister and claimed she was the streamer brother, Bai's younger sister. She even took a bunch of proof with her. I hadn't expected that stunt and immediately grew interested. What did she go to Jiang Bai for? To drag her into the rich socialite circle too. The infinite spirit ring puffed up in anger. Not at all. She wanted to rely on her identity as brother's family member to exercise rights over Sister Hu's assets. And Weseki, the infinite spirit ring, lowered its head, looking a little downcast. And brother's parents went too, to testify for her. I smiled and rubbed her little head. "Don't be sad. I stopped being hurt by them a long time ago." "What about Jiang Bai? What did she do?" I was very curious. If my little sister had ended up apologizing to me, then her little family definitely hadn't gotten what they wanted. The infinite spirit ring mimicked Jiang Bai's expression, and on its childish little face was the same full steadiness. If that's the case, then why are there only 3 of you in Sea City? I laughed until my eyes curved. Looks like that girl was pretty black-bellied when dealing with outsiders too. The giant tree and the infinite spirit ring kept enthusiastically reenacting the full scene. Delete the Weibo post. Don't use Brother Bai's name to show off, or else. When Jiang Bai got cold, she really could freeze people to death. Her unfinished threat scared my little sister badly enough. My stepsister started crying nonstop and even dropped to her knees beside Jiang Bai. "Please, show mercy. If I delete the Weibo post, my friends will think I've been lying to them. They'll tear me apart." Jiang Bai stepped back and avoided her, saying in a voice devoid of any emotion, "That's your problem." I was secretly amazed. The obedient, good girl, when she turned cold and spoke up for me, felt amazing. I decided I ought to appreciate her a little more. Opening my chat with my little sister, I saw that, since I hadn't replied for so long, she'd gotten anxious and sent 7 or 8 apology messages in a row. One moment she said her body was too weak, and she was always seeing illusions. The next she sobbed that she was close to death and missed her brother. In short, she used every trick she knew, never once mentioning the way she'd deliberately slandered the people around me or the scheming hostility she'd had toward me since childhood. Not some saint. We're both children of a reconstructed family. I never owed her anything. Every time she needed someone to step in for her, I never shirked it. I even took a lot of blame for her. I never once tried to fight her for family property. And what was the result? She used her schemes to steal all of my father's and mother's love and almost ruined my life. The person I was now no longer had any heart left to pity her. I closed the chat window and carried my cold indifference to its absolute end. During that same period, my chats with Jiang Bai never stopped. She often sent me updates on the research institute's newest results. If I happened to like something, she'd personally deliver it to Guanghai City's People's Park. Sometimes I'd send her back some important core material from especially strong mutated plants, or some food from my storage space, all sealed up in a box. She'd carefully put away everything I gave her. When she sent the plant cores to the institute, she'd often tell me what new breakthroughs they led to. As for the food, it all went into her own stomach. Occasionally, Her foodie little best friend, Miss Lingluo, would steal some from her, and Shed, half-jokingly, half-seriously complained to me while praising how delicious the food was. I thought Jiang Bai was a very sincere friend. I didn't expect that 3 months later, I'd see my little sister in Area C's social news. More precisely, I saw all 3 of them, my parents and her. My little sister had pretended to be a socialite and scammed a lot of people. Many of them were upper-class young ladies from elite families, but the overwhelming majority were ordinary men, just struggling to stay fed. She cruelly played with those men's feelings, turning every last bit of their net worth into capital for her to show off in moments. Once Shed drained them dry, she dumped them. All the while, she waved the flag of the godly rich brother Bai so that no one dared retaliate. But the moment that flag fell, her whole family got besieged by furious men. My parents were badly injured, trying to protect her. She, who'd once spent money like water, suddenly couldn't even afford the medical fees to send my parents to the hospital, and they died of illness. My little sister's mind cracked under the pressure. Then she heard that Miss Lingluo was coming to settle accounts and reclaim the many jin of fresh green vegetables Shed gifted her. That frightened her out of her wits, drove her insane, and she died. After reading it all, I felt a little wistful. Letting the evening breeze scatter the smoke rising from my cigarette, I murmured, "Goodbye, my dear little sister." Sometime later, the infinite spirit ring mysteriously came looking for me. "Brother, I finally found out where Sister Wen Xinyu went." She awakened a spatial spirit root, and the uncontrolled awakening power swept her into the cultivation world. Spirit root. Recently, after coming out once again from the timeless training ground that always ran in decades, I had started to feel that my own strength had already reached the very top of human capability. I had touched the ceiling. If I wanted to become even stronger, I had to seek a breakthrough. Who doesn't dream of casting off a mortal body, awakening spirit roots, and walking the path of cultivation with power across the heavens? My heart immediately ignited. Brother, little spirit found abnormal radiation fluctuations on Jiang Bai Mountain. That's Earth's most mysterious forbidden zone. Maybe it can help brother awaken spirit roots and step onto the immortal path. I was just about to nod and agree when a message came in from Jiang Bai. "My next mission is in Jiang Bai Mountain. Are you interested in coming with me?" She even added a little joke, food and lodging included, all expenses covered, awaiting your reply. I couldn't help laughing and replied with a simple, "Okay," if I thought about it carefully. This would be the first time we'd ever met in person in nearly a year of staying in contact. When I reached the meeting place, I held little spirit's soft hand and stood there waiting for Jiang Bai. She tilted her head up and asked me in a soft, sweet voice, "Brother, how much longer do we have to wait?" Behind me came the roar of helicopter blades as Jiang Bai jumped down from the aircraft. "Sorry, I'm late." 1 year later, Jiang Bai celebrated my first birthday after the nuclear incident. She told me to close my eyes and make a wish. When I opened them again, I saw Jiang Bai, who always looked cool and calm, blushing, holding a bouquet of roses freshly cultivated by the Research Institute. Her eyelashes trembled as she avoided my gaze. "Brother Wen John, I knew a long time ago that it was you who saved me that year in the alley. This whole year, I've been thinking, would you be willing to let me offer myself to you? I'll work hard to be a good partner and get along well with little spirit." I froze for a moment, then laughed softly. "What nonsense are you thinking? I've always treated little spirit like a younger sister. And besides, no matter how you look at it, shouldn't this be something I ask?" My smile faded, and I said softly, "Be good. I'm not as good as you think I am." Jiang Bai immediately raised her head in urgency. Her red little lips parted as if she were desperate to argue on my behalf. I reached out and touched her hair. "Even so, do you still want to be with me?" Jiang Bai's bright eyes instantly filled with tears. Her voice shook as she answered, "Yes." Then she threw herself into my arms without caring about anything else. She was wearing a heavy radiation suit, and I held her close against my chest. Little spirit stood off to the side, quietly putting her hands together in blessing. The next day, little spirit's figure began fading rapidly. Her transparent silhouette floated in the air, and for the first time, I couldn't hold on to her hand. Back then, Little Spirit was Brother's birthday gift. Now, Little Spirit has to go to the 3,000 worlds. Brother and sister have to live well. Okay, the laws of the world erased every trace of her existence, leaving only one crookedly stitched protective talisman for me and one for Jiang Bai. And yet, after the nuclear incident, human lifespans were drastically shortened. Jiang Bai's ended at 43, and on the second night after her passing, I followed her as I closed my tired eyes. No one saw the faded but still clean protective talisman or the rose Jiang Bai had once given me on Shanghai Mountain melt into my body. When I opened my eyes again, I had become a newborn infant. Spiritual energy flooded the space around me and poured into my body, washing through my spiritual meridians. Thanks to the foundation ID built in my previous life, the spiritual energy widened my meridians to several times the breadth of an ordinary person's, vast as great rivers, surging endlessly. Then my spirit root awakened. I heard a maid's voice, which had gone from respectful to excited to ecstatic. Master, madam, the young master has awakened. It's an allelment spirit root, an allelment supreme genius. The family is finally going to rise again.